Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to share you one simple Python program to automate multiple network devices. This piece of code will help you to start with network automation. For this session, I am using GNS3 for network simulation, and for automation we are using Python. The screen that you are seeing right now is a GNS3 application in which I have opened two instances of routers R1 and R2. The router R1, fast Ethernet 0/1 of router R1 is configured with IP address 192.168.10.11 and which is connected to the cloud instance of GNS3, which is nothing but the loopback adapter of my PC. I'll show you that in a minute. And coming to the second router, the R2, fast Ethernet 0/0 is connected to the cloud instance of GNS3, which is nothing but loopback adapter of my PC and configured with IP address 172.16.10.11. Now let's verify the IP configuration of the router R1. This is the R1 router, and you can see fast Ethernet 0/1 is configured with IP address 192.168.10.11. And now let's go back to the R2. Here you can see the R2 is configured with IP address 172.16.10.11. Now let's verify whether we have reachability from our PC to these network routers. So I have opened a Windows command line. So first we are going to test the reachability to the router 192.168.10.11. And yes, of course we are having the reachability. Now let's check the reachability to the router 2, 172.16.10.11, and router 2 is also having the reachability. Now the next step, what we are going to do is, let's see whether we have SSH connectivity to both of these routers. We try to connect to the router 192.168.10.11, and it is asking for the username, and my username is admin and the password is password. Of course I can log in. Let's try connecting to the router 2 via SSH, opening a new session, the 172.16.10.11. My username is admin and password is password. Yes, I am having the reachability to both the routers. So our lab setup is perfect. Now what we are going to do with this scenario is we are going to push some configuration command to both of these routers with a Python program. So in your scenario, you will be having like hundreds of network devices that you need to check the health or pull some information, and logging into each and every devices and getting the information would be a hectic task. So a simple program like this could save a lot of time for you. So that is where the programming kicks in. This is a Python IDE. This is a very small script that we are going to run, just few lines of code. This is the place where you will be getting the output. Let's create a new console. And before going to the details of the code, let's see what the output is and see what directory it is saved. This is the directory that we are interested in, Python network automation script, and this is the program. There is an associated text file where we will be providing the IP address username and password of the first network router and IP address of the second admin and password. Let's run program first and we will go to the details one by one. Press any key to exit. Now let's see the details of the program one by one. Here we are using two modules. One is import OS, the other one is connect handler from netme. The import OS is a Python library used to provide functions for interacting with the operating system. So you can create directories and move directories, delete directories, all those operating system related functions you can do with OS module. And the second one is netme module. This simplifies the SSH connection. So you don't need to create a program from scratch to make a connection to the network device. You already have a module that you can download and import, can use it for your own purpose. It is a library that simplifies the SSH connection. The line 12 says platform equal to Cisco iOS. Platform equal to iOS is a string assigning to a variable called platform. This is a netme parameter to connect to the network device. And here we are opening the device details.txt in read mode. This is the device details.txt, and we are opening this file in read mode so that we can read the contents of the file. For your understanding, we are printing what the output of the device details is. See, this is pointing to the text file. And in the line 18, we are reading the contents of the device details. Device detail is the variable that is pointing to the text file. And in this line of code, we are reading the contents of the text file and saving it to a variable called device credentials. And we are printing the details of the device credentials. Device credential is having this one. After reading it, we are printing it on the console. Now we can see the device came in two lines. So one is for first one is for the router 1 and the second one is for the router 2. Now our requirement is to separate these two information in separate container. So what we are doing is we are splitting the details with new line character, which is and going to save it in device creds. And this is going to be a data type called list data type. And print device creds, it is going to return a list data types with the values stored separated by a comma. And in the next line, we are, for your understanding, I am printing the type of the device creds, that is nothing but the list. And in the next line, we are checking what is the length of the device creds, that is nothing but 2. And this is the for loop. From here to here is the for loop. In the for loop, we have given length of device creds. Length of device creds is also mentioned here, which is nothing but 2. So what this line of code means is this loop is going to iterate 2 times. The first iteration, it will be fetching the details of router 1 and it will do the operation and it will disconnect. At the end of the loop, it is going to disconnect the SSH connection, and in the next iteration, it is going to fetch the details of router R2 and do the operations and disconnect the SSH connection to it. So in the first iteration, what is it going to do? It is going to index array value with a comma and saving into a separate list that is called X. And now type of X is again list, and each and every value, this value, this is index value 0, this is index value 1, this is index value 2. and we are going to fetch all the details. We are saving it to a appropriate variable for our later use. So the index value 0 is going to get assigned with a variable IP address, and we are going to print that value here. And the second is username, that is admin, that we are printing it here, and third one is password. Similarly, we will be getting all the details and assigned to appropriate variables. And this piece of code, what it does is, it is going to check whether there is a directory in the name of x of 0. In the first iteration, the x of 0 would be 192.168.10.11. In that iteration, when the program is initialized in the first, so it is going to create a directory, and if it is not there, it is going to create a directory. And if it is there, then we are going to open the logs.txt in append mode. If a text file is not there, it is going to create one. And in this line, what the program doing is, the program is initiating the SSH connection using the netme connect handler module. And you can see that the platform is being mentioned, IP address is mentioned, username is mentioned, and password is mentioned. And the command that we are going to push to the device that is connected via SSH is show version. You can provide any valid command in this code. And we are printing the output of the command to the console. So let's see the show version Cisco IOS. This is the show version output. And the same output we are going to write it to text file that we have just created here. And f is equal to open, and we have x is equal to open x of 0 log.txt. And after writing the contents, we are closing that text file and the device and disconnecting the SSH session. And the program control will be moved to the start of the for loop again, and it is going to fetch the details of the second router. And in the second iteration, it has got the second list, and the list type is class list, and the IP address x of 0 is, and we have got admin as the username and password as password. And it will again check whether there is a directory created with x of 0. The x of 0 in this case would be 192.16.10.11, and if it is not there, it is going to create the directory and a new text file will be saved. And in the 47th line, again an SSH connection will be initiated to the second router. In this line, we are going to push the show version command to the second router and getting the output on the console here. We have got output in the console here, and we are writing the output to the file. We have a file open here, a new file open here, and we are closing details and disconnecting the device. And it will again check for the range, and it has reached the end of the range, and it will exit out of the loop and press any key to exit. That is what the next step would be. That is, if we press that, we will get the end of the session. I'll be placing this piece of code in the GitHub repository. If you want to copy the code, you can copy it from there. I'll paste it in the description below. You can modify this piece of code to connect to any number of similar devices, and also you can make any kind of modification to it. I'll be posting similar videos in the future. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos.